Hardy ones who stuck around. Dan Pallotta, how about that quote? I'm tempted to just say that again. So if you prevent failure, you kill innovation. And what I'm actually tempted to do is just like say that like 5 or 6 times and then go sit down. But they're giving us a free registration to next year's convening if we're doing this. So let's go ahead and do it. And it might actually feel a little bit like Groundhog Day because our experience is that I'm going to share is very similar to what Tia just shared. So our collaboratives are big, like really big, or at least they used to be. We would have conversations regularly with Strive Together's Terry O'Brien, who would take a deep breath, look us in the eye and say, your collaboratives are big, like really big. And you know, so what can we say? We're Portland, Oregon. We're the city of roses, but we're also known as the city that loves to meet. You know, you just get us together, call it civic engagement, call it community spirit, but if you put on a pot of locally roasted, organic, fair trade coffee, we will come running, and we're ready to talk it out, and we're ready to take on the problem. But sadly, our gift of gab has not translated into real solutions for our kids, particularly our kids of color and those in poverty. And we know it, and we don't like it, and so we came together around a new vision and a new way of doing business, and we called it All Hands Raised. Leaders were convened, goals were set, and the all call came out across the entire community. It's a new day. We're going to do things differently. We're going to get it right this time. We launched 4 collaboratives, and the meetings that we launched regularly drew 40, 50, 60 people. One meeting topped out at more than 200 dedicated souls ready to help all our kids be ready for kindergarten. So they came. The green arrow. I'm failing forward with the clicker. There we are. They came. Mentors and moms, pastors and politicians, advocates and academics, superintendents, CEOs, educators, foundations, all of us, ready to tackle the issue and take on the problem. And the coffee was good. And thankfully this time the process was good too. It was continuous improvement rigor all the way. Develop a charter, create an action plan, and get to work, get moving. And people moved. Unfortunately, not always in all of the ways that we or they really wanted to be moving. People would shuffle from our meetings back to their offices to compile research on best practices. They combed through education data to find the local schools that were beating the odds. And they went out and did focus groups at those schools to figure out the secret sauce that was making it all happen. There were literature reviews, stakeholder interviews, toolkits, inventories. Does any of this sound familiar? Right? And it was good. It was all good. But we were all just a little process drunk, right? People started feeling frustrated and stuck. Some walked away. Others sat over at the edges of our meetings, whispering things like, here we go again. There we are. And being Portland, Oregon, a significant percentage of us actually had those glasses on. That joke worked. I planned that. I mean, so I was Googling frustrated people, and anyway, I got her. She looks like an Oregonian. In any case, enter Terry O'Brien. God bless you, Terry O'Brien. Where is Terry O'Brien? Terry O'Brien. God bless Terry O'Brien. Talk about just in time. She had been watching all of this play out from a distance, and eventually she got on a plane. She came out, she knocked our heads together like an auntie who's had it up to here. She said, break up those collaboratives, narrow your focus, get to work. We listened. It was a change we all wanted to make, we just needed the roadmap. Plus a good Midwest kick in the pants to get us going. But here's where the story gets personal for me. In my role, I oversee our collaborative action networks. And there was a part of me that secretly loved those huge groups, even though I knew they were stuck. I mean, I kind of love people, and you know, these are like the best kind of people, gathered together in a room, trying to save the world together. But if I'm honest, it's not just that I love other people, it's that I love it when other people love me, especially very large groups of them. I mean, so we all read the collective impact article. I could have sworn there was like the invisible, like, fifth pillar to rule them all that said, like, get as many people in a room as you possibly can and make them like you. So that's what I was working on. You know, I'm not going to go too much further into my personal self-development journey. If I can save that for my therapist, my wife, and my boss. But, so speaking of my boss, Dan, he had been ready to break up these collaboratives for quite a while. And Terry O'Brien's advice, tough love, was exactly what it took for Dan to put us to work, as Tia said, on a restart. So we headed out to push our restart button. And for every, but Dan, or, I mean, what if they don't, he'd say, we're going to figure this out. And we figured it out as a backbone staff, as a community, and we got to work. To give you, here we go, there are green buttons, Jeff. There are more animations. It's going to be cool. Watch this one. There we are. Organized. Terry O'Brien. Look at that. And so I want to give you just a quick snapshot, as Heidi gives me the 1 minute, of where we are today and how the restart has impacted our change for kids. So we zeroed in on the issue of late kindergarten registration, holding too many of our kids back. You start 2 steps behind. We already have a school year that's too short, and kids were missing more school, showing up late to kindergarten. We reduced late kindergarten registration by 14 percentage points at the 8 schools where we focused. We worked with our superintendents to pass racial equity policies in 4 of our school boards. That's a big deal. 4 school boards voted to say racial equity is a priority in our school district, and now we're digging deeply into the issue of disproportionate discipline and the ways that it impacts our kids of color, particularly our African American boys. We worked with 6 demonstration schools to tackle the issue of chronic absenteeism. In every one of those schools, chronic absenteeism is down over the last year, and we zeroed in on those magical practices. And in the largest high school in Oregon, it turned out that the effective practice had a lot to do with Costco muffins last spring. I can tell you more about that later. And our Department of Human Services saw that the work was moving, and they stepped up. And they said, we're going to pull 6 of our case managers out from behind their desks, put them in your schools to work alongside you where you've been building your bench around attendance work, and they're going to own the attendance outcome with you. Finally, based in part on our longest standing collaborative, the 9th Grade Counts Collaborative, our governor and our state Department of Education have stepped up for the first time to try outcome-based funding on a relatively small level, but to say for every 9th grader who's showing early warning signs of dropping out, that you provide summer supports, that you provide extra services for every one of them we're going to give you $350. If, and only if, that student gets to 6 credits at the end of their 9th grade year to keep them on track. That's enough of the commercial. You can tell I'm excited about what's going on in Portland, Oregon. But at the end of the day, as we've heard multiple times, failing forward is not about projects. It's not about strategies. It's about being humble. It's about being brave enough to be vulnerable. Are you ready to do that? Is your partnership ready to do that? The experience in Portland, Oregon continues to demonstrate to us that the success of this movement and the success of our kids and our communities depends on exactly that.